let's move forward. So I'd like to request Mr. Sanjay Upadhya for his presentation.
Yes, thank you, CG, and thank you, Nice and Dr. Pramod Jaiswal for inviting me. It's a great pleasure and honor to be able to express my views here. I have not come here with any specific subject matter. What I would like to pick up on is, as a longtime observer of Nepal-China relations within the context of recent global developments, I would like to speak more to the political trust deficit that we've been Ambassador so eloquently presented. We have the underpinnings for Nepal-China relations in terms of agreements, commitments, and joint commissions, working groups. We have all those in place. But there are periods, especially after 2008, where the robustness of our Nepali political system has somehow given a sense of dissonance on phases of Nepal-China relationships, where things happen within particular governments. They do not happen when that government falls. And our own media coverage of the Nepali side is very, very robust, very, very open, to the point where sometimes we even do not know what the real issues that we are facing in that relationship in the particular time. And on the other hand, the Chinese, being traditionally circumspect, we do not know from their side either through any appreciable public forum about what Nepal, the expectations of Nepal, and what, you know, going forward, how Beijing would like to see Nepal pursue its relationship with China. Now, from what I gather, I mean, Ambassador Podel has firsthand experience. Other speakers also, you know, with more connection. I'm removed, far away, sitting here observing Nepal-China relations from a broad historical and contemporary basis. What I feel is we have this fund of goodwill, you know, especially Nepal and China, China and Nepal. You know, I generally like to joke here in the US while explaining the Nepalese mindset. You know, we love democracy. We have one of the most robust democracies. We love it, but you know, when it comes to Tibet, I mean, we're a little, you know, we're more geopoliticians than all of us Nepalis. So, you know, we know that China, as a northern neighbor, has been a strong upholder of Nepal's independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity. Nepal too, as far as I can understand, it's not the concern about whether Nepal's commitment or lack of is an issue here. It's how third-party pressures, that whether Nepal can withstand those while upholding its stated and long-standing commitments to its one China policy. Tibet, of course, obviously comes to mind. And the Chinese grievances there, you can easily gauge them from speaking to academics, you know, in a non-bilateral setting. You know, they're very articulate and very open about that. But at the same time, the Nepali concern also, I mean, it gets drowned out, you know, in the more vivacious streets and media commentary on Nepal-China relationship throughout history. I mean, what Nepal's grievances were. I'm talking about political trust, you know, political grievances. Let's say whether in 1814, 1816 Anglo-Nepalese War, whether we talk about 1989-90, whether we talk about 2005, 2006. And from the Chinese side, the same issues come up over what worth our commitments are if we just cannot be keeping those. And I think this trust deficit is something that we have to become very, very mindful of in the near term, as I observe, when we are approaching the Dalai Lama succession in Tibet. You know, that's one turning point that we really have to be able to focus on from our side, if not entirely our side, our ability to make independent and sovereign decisions on our commitments to the entire Nepal-China relationship. And whatever we're seeing from the Chinese side, you know, I hesitate to read too much into it, but I mean, symbolism being what it is in Chinese diplomacy, the absence of, at the UML conference, certain commentaries, certain things that we have seen an outright expression of Nepal's place in, China's new border security, plus the new Chinese administrative structure, central administrative structure on national security. These issues become very crucial as we go on towards that period, because the Dalai Lama succession, it's not like, the king is dead, long live the king, like, one comes and the other goes. We have a period that's going to be fairly contentious, First of all, if we go by tradition, Tibetan tradition, we have to have any period from 3 to 5 years will be very, very crucial for us, as, both sides have their competing preparations going on, and we don't know what the incumbent Dalai Lama is going to do about that. And it is at that point where, an extended phase of instability in Nepal, where mountains are not, the traditional bulwarks they used to be, with technology, and Nepal being a very soft in terms of its ability in governance, in political ability to independently chart its relationships with China, its ability to obviate or tackle third party, fourth party, fifth party pressures on that crucial issue. And then once that's one phase that we are very concerned about China. Well, I don't speak for the China or the Chinese government. I'm just as a Nepali observer, making the point of how that is likely to come into the fore as we approach that period. But at the same time, again, now, what strikes me as very, very something that has not had too much discussion in the past or even in the present now is how China sees Nepal as part of its continuous civilizational approach to the outside world. Now, I say this because we entered a tributary relationship with China without probably even knowing what it was. And even to this day, nobody can easily define what the Chinese tributary system was or what its modern manifestations are likely to be in the region. But again, one thing we have to see is from imperial China to Republican China to communist China, there was a time where the Chinese would assert very effectively and very honorously that Nepal was something that they lost to Western imperialism during the century of humiliation. Now, the world has moved past, that phase of revanchism. I don't think, we can go back to that kind of thinking. But I am not sure I know that kind of thinking or that kind of feeling or sentiment has ever been revoked or, officially. But if it's a mindset that guides us, then what difference would that may be from the pressures emanating from our southern neighbor, which again puts us in the place of a contested sovereignty. So do we, and what I'm seeing from the Chinese press is some indication of that kind of thinking, saying that, okay, well, Nepal, seeks China's support only when it feels threatened by India, and once they get things patch up with India, then they just hold back on their commitments to the future, and and those things tend to be born out of facts. Ambassador mentioned that Nepal has not is the last in the region, apart from Bhutan, to take advantage of this immense potential with China. Even India is doing that better, under the BRA, AIB framework. Is it because our concern, or is it because, if we have ways of dragging our foot, do the Chinese have the same way of dragging their foot? Is it some sort of displeasure that's, being not necessarily to Nepal, but I mean, to Nepal's inability to, the question obviously becomes then, why was prior to 2008, we had an institution where the Chinese could repose their trust and faith in. If we set up that head of state institution, the presidency in place of the monarchy, then why hasn't Rashtrapati Bhavan, or the president's office, been transformed into that kind of role? These things, I think, from the Nepali side and the Chinese side, they cannot be swept up under the carpet, because this is going to really influence our ability. I mean, even the nature of our dialogue sometimes, it makes me wonder. We talk about these, it's very easy to fall into this trap. Oh, the new ports and the new infrastructures, but the cost, I mean, China can never replace India and Nepal. That's the automatic, second line, third line in your news story commentary. I mean, why is this talk about, replacing India come about? Is maybe, in the long history of Nepal-China relations, there were periods where China withdrew, where China could be more assertive economically, politically, commercially. Maybe this is one of those phases. Maybe our old relationship can be, brought back. Why do we think of, 150, 250, 350 years? Maybe we need to go back to our own past to see, what kind of relationship is possible when one country rises, when two simultaneously rise. And so these things, I think, are not being debated and are not being, as an observer, as a student, that I would like to see answers to. I mean, I understand we have specialists, speakers, we have very distinguished people, and I am here just an observer, a long-time student. But I think these are questions that Nepal-China needs to, both countries, these are just two examples, the Dalai Lama succession and then the tributary system, the legacy of that. These two issues, we need to have an open discussion, a very non-biased discussion, or if there's no need for any discussion at all, who knows? I mean, but we're putting them under the rug since 2008, and this is not going to be a healthy augury for our all the underpinnings of the stable and strong relationship that we have with China, that Nepal can be able to take benefit from. And I would be interested to hear my co-panelists on this issue, if possible, if it does not drag away from their original subject matter and subject. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Upadhyay, for your observation and for your concerns. And definitely, you also mentioned about trust deficit, which is one of the most important factors in the Nepal-China relations. So hope the two countries will be able to work on that, and hope they will be more mindful. Thank you so much once again for your observation. Sir, I will get back to you again. We have a few more questions. I would like to request Sanjay, sir, for this to respond to this question. Do you think a time will come when Nepal will have to choose between China and Indo-Pacific powers led by the US? If yes, how will Nepal have to deal with that difficult situation? May I request Sanjay, sir, to respond to this question?
Yes, thank you for the question. I don't think, based on our innate geographical, geopolitical relationship, that we'll have to choose between China and the Indo-Pacific nations. Our basic survival, our basic national interest would lie in maintaining equal relations with our two immediate neighbors, and conducting, our foreign policy, our as independently as we can, and being very honest, forthright in our deliberations with each neighbor. Now, the pressures that would come to bear upon Nepal having to choose sides will be it will be very disastrous for our own, I feel, from our own existence and our own survival as an independent nation state. There will be challenges. I mean, it's not going to be rosy all the way. One of those challenges we are even experiencing now, as other panelists have pointed out. But we have to have that prudence, and we have demonstrated that in the past. We can still, in episodes in the past where Nepali wisdom, Nepali maturity prevailed, and we did not have to make a choice of that nature. But I think a lot will depend on our own ability to understand where our interests lie, basically, where Nepal's national interests lie, and make decisions accordingly. And I do not think choosing sides in any such way will have any beneficial impact to our national interest.
Sir, I want to add one more question that we received in Facebook. How do you look at the West confronting with China in South Asia?
Well, the West confronting China in South Asia, I mean, in some basic level, is very understandable. Also, you have one rising power who is not ethnocentrically the same as the reigning superpower. You have diametrical political systems each represent, and countries are being forced to, choose sides based on either hyped up security threats or, played down aspects of other dimensions of the relationship. So basically, for other countries of South Asia, maritime countries, countries far stronger in terms of resource-based military prowess. Each has devised their own way of dealing with this competition. But for us, our historical experience, our geopolitical necessity, and things is that we just stay away from this rivalry. We are not. We make our own choices. Being, what serves the Nepali national interest is what should guide Nepal's policy, instead of playing, big games, superpower games that we can ill afford, and which we can only be the ultimate losers from.
All right. Thank you so much. We have one more question. I would like to request Mr. Siva Prasad Tiwari, sir, to respond to this question. There is a sharp increase in scholarship from China to South Asia. Hear you.
No, I don't think I'll have anything to add because I've been away from Nepal for a while. But I think it is growing, and I would understand why China would not agree with the ranking, the listing that the previous speaker mentioned. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Thank you so much once again to all our distinguished speakers for your valuable time, for your special presentation and the fresh analysis and the way out. Thank you so much once again on the behalf of NICE, and it was a great honor for us to have all of you here. And thank you so much to all the participants who joined us through different platforms like Zoom, Facebook, Twitter, and others. Thank you so much. And we couldn't take all of the questions, so we would like to sincerely apologize for that. And maybe the organizers can respond them separately later. So it was a wonderful discussion on Nepal-China relations. Definitely, there are huge gaps in understanding each other, but we are hopeful that they will be able to find a way out and to create a conducive environment where they can work together in a win-win situation. So let's hope for that. Thank you so much once again for your precious time and for the sharing.
Distinguished chair, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the end of this session, we would like to express a sincere gratitude and